Welcome to February's live stream. That is February 2025. As I stated last month, I'll be doing one public live stream per month. And I gave 24-hour notice, well, about 23-hour notice in the members section. So all the members, 47 members, of which a good portion would say to me, if I had notice of when the live stream was going to happen, I'll show up with questions. I fully expect to see at least half of those 47 members show up with their questions in the chat. No, I'm joking. I don't expect that at all. Because I know that folks mean well, but they don't usually follow through with what they're going to say, which is okay, which goes back to if you look at some of the Gurdjieff videos that I've posted, you'll cognize as to why most folks are unable to follow through with what they say they're going to do. It's not a big deal. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. All right. I do have some topics prepared to talk about because I do feel from prior experience that there's not going to be very many questions here. So I do have some things to talk about. One of the things is directly related to the scenario that has presented itself in the last 2 months regarding someone who claims to be commander-in-chief. And no, I don't mean the guy from Arapahoe, Wyoming. No, I mean a different guy. I'm not going to say their name. I've done a few videos showing how this individual and his mate or partner, how they're a scam, they're grifters. And they don't have closure on correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar. Well, since publishing those videos, I only received one response from the main guy, and it was vaguely threatening. So then I made that email public because they didn't put confidential on it anyways. So there was nothing confidential about it. And ever since then, I haven't heard a peep from them. But since publishing those videos, I've been getting people sending me emails from all over the earth, from far corners of the earth, giving me details about how they've been scammed by these two guys. How they spent hundreds of pounds on products that didn't deliver on what they said they were going to deliver on, or they didn't receive the products at all. And then when they try to contact the two gentlemen, I use that term loosely, the two grifters, we'll call them grifters. When they try to contact the two grifters, they get blocked. They get no response. Or they get publicly slandered on the guy's YouTube channel, which doesn't have very many subscribers, so not very many people see it. But that is what it is. And of course, I'd be more than happy. Those folks sending me emails who have had negative experiences with these grifters, and you know who you are, I'll be more than happy to give you a platform on this channel to tell your story, or at least for me to share your story with the evidence that you've sent me. Just use your correct name so that I can put a name to it. Stand beside what you're claiming. Because if you don't do that, if you're afraid to do that for whatever reason, I understand why some people would be hesitant to do that. Well, then I can't really tell the story then. Because then that would just be like, there's no way to prove it. So I can't do that. I won't do that. Not that I can't do it. I won't do it. So if you got If you got the cojones to come forward and put your name and face next to your claim, I'd be more than happy to give you the platform to share that. All right, that's out of the way. Now, the other thing I was going to talk about in relation to this is confidentiality. Now, I've done a recent video in the members section explaining confidentiality and how it works in the context of, number one, correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar, and also just in a general context. Now, I'm going to add to that here. And I'm going to start with an example. Say I have a good friend, a friend that I have a trust account with, someone I trust, and I know that they will keep confidentiality, they will not break confidentiality. I know I can tell them something, I know I can give them valuable things and they will keep them safe, so on and so forth. That's what a trust count is, because you trust someone. If I receive an email or a communication with someone with confidential in the title, in the subject bar, and then in the email they go on to threaten my friend that I have a trust count with, say that they're going to do this, that, and the third. Next week, they're going to go to this person's house and they're going to wait outside. And when they come outside, they're going to attack them. Well, guess what? That's a safety issue. That's a safety hazard. That's malicious. So when something like that happens, even if the email says confidential at the top, that's null and void now. I will break confidentiality to tell my friend, hey, man, this person's looking for you. They're going to come for you. They have threatened you. I'll do that. Does that make sense? You have to make these moral choices in your mind. Because if you don't break confidentiality in that scenario and your friend gets harmed or their family gets harmed, now you've become complicit. You've become an accomplice because you didn't warn them, and you could have. You could have saved a shipwreck from happening. You could have stopped a shipwreck from happening, but you didn't. Now, there's a huge difference between perceived shipwrecks and imaginary shipwrecks. Like when you see some stupid shit. Oh, geez. I'm cussing too early into this. When you see some stupid stuff, like a Russell J. Gould talking about suing someone or putting someone in prison because they're using grammar and it's creating shipwrecks. Where's the evidence of that? What's the shipwreck that's happening? Is he losing money because of it? Because people know that he doesn't have closure on the grammar? Is that what's going on? Is that the damage? That he's losing money off of his grift? It has to be something that's tangible, like a tangible shipwreck you know is going to happen, and and it's all in the context of the situation. Another great example would be some of the threatening emails that I've received from Russell J. Gould's people in the past. Not from Russell. Russell has never ever sent me a threatening email, and he has never sent me an email that was in a negative, by my perception, a negative tone. Never. And I've communicated with Russell multiple times from 2017 until early 2020, I think. And those emails, he's never has been rude to me or anything like that. Matter of fact, I was using correct sentence structure at the time, and I was teaching it at the time. Never once did Russell ever say to me or convey to me that I was doing something wrong. He never said that I owed him money or anything like that. He never said I needed authorization or permission to do what I was doing. Never, 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 never. I don't have any email that says any of that. So It is what it is. But in any case, people that claim to be under him and in his group have sent me threatening emails. And some of those, I'm guessing, they wanted them to be private because they didn't want people to see what they were saying. But it doesn't matter if it's private or not, or confidential or not, because if they're threatening me with physical violence, or if they're threatening me with military court martials or whatever the hell it is that they say, well, of course I'm going to make it public because it's a safety hazard, because they're threatening me. Now, I know that those threats have no substance behind them at all. None. Just like the other guy I was just talking about. There's no weight or potency behind anything those folks say. The value of something is what you ascribe to it. There's no police force, there's no guns and clubs behind them. Unless there's some vigilante out there that's a little wacko that thinks that they can walk up to somebody on the street and do like a dog the bounty hunter type thing and put them in cuffs and take them back to Russell. And what's Russell going to do? Put him in his basement? I don't know. It's like Mark lowercase K Kishon Christopher used to talk about a couple years ago. He was talking about creating quantum prisons, right? And he was talking about voiding people's life claims. Like, what are you talking about, bro? The claim of the life is no longer valid. What do you mean? Is that what's going on here? Are you a murderer? I'm sorry, unaliving. Shouldn't have used that K word. Sorry, YouTube. So this is exactly what I was talking about with the Mark lowercase K Kishon Christopher scenario, where he got sentenced to 7+ years in prison because of the conspiracy to attempt to kidnap a coroner. It's exactly the same thing. What were they going to do with this guy? Were they going to apprehend him and take him to a basement and torture him with cattle prods like it says in Mark's paperwork? And then maybe even perform capital punishment? Wackos. I do see we have quite a few viewers, and this is a public live stream, folks. By the way, this is public. So anyone can come into the chat and say whatever they want to say. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else in the quantum grammar domain who goes live like this and invites folks in to ask them questions? Is there anyone else out there who does that for free? Anyone? I'll wait. Put the names in the chat. Who does it? Who puts themselves out there like this? I know some folks might get the impression that I'm trying to brag or boast here, but that's not what this is at all. This is with all humility, folks. I'm cultivating humility here in that I'm purposely putting myself on the spot. And if someone asks me a question that I don't know the answer to, well, that's going to be a very humbling experience, isn't it? And I'm sure there's lots of folks out there that would love to try that because they have no problem going into my comments section and trolling there. But of course, they never come here and troll in the now space, as we would say, or as I would say, the continuum, because now is non-tangible contract. Quadruple A, are you having some typing issues there? Hello, thank you for the response video. Hello, Shantavia. What is the response that you're referring to? Refresh my memory, please. And while we're here, let's take a look at your comment, which is not in brackets or parentheses or quotations or anything like that. So that means it's an adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun. I'll type it out in the chat to make it easier. And of course, everybody knows, hopefully, the syntax values, right? So just use that key right there, and you can syntax it. Anybody have a guess before I put this up on the screen? Anybody have a guess how to syntax that sentence? Hello, ... Thank you for the response video, period. Anybody care to syntax that? In the meantime, I have a question that got sent to me. And the question is, have you ever translated into correct sentence structure any salvage law, code, and legislation? And if asked, which ones would you recommend beginning with? The answer is no. I've never done that because I've never had a need to translate any of that, except to say that in my construct, I have a 1 year and 1 day salvage drogue for the law of the salvage. So I've never translated a fiction code into correct sentence structure having to do with salvage other than the salvage itself, which is pretty self-explanatory. Now, I know David-WYNN Miller and Russell J. Gould took numerous U.S. codes and titles and statutes and translated them into their best efforts of correct sentence structure attempts. But I've never felt the need to do that because I use 3 principles, folks. Balance of the honor and the grace, position of peace and neutrality, maintenance of rule 1, rule equal. And that's basically all I need. Now that I'm saying that, I do use the 12b7 through 12b1 rules of civil procedure. And I do have a correct sentence structure translation of that on my Weebly website, which if you go to my main page on YouTube and you look in the background photo, I think in the lower port side there, I'm sorry, lower starboard side, you'll see a link to my Weebly website and you'll find it there. It's in the blog section. Wow. All right, so we have quite a few viewers here. And I asked about the syntaxing to syntax that sentence to take your best shot at it about over 5 minutes ago, but no one so far has tried to take a shot at it. So that tells me that all of the viewers are here. Most of the viewers that are here don't have a clue. 4134134. Hi, quadruple A. For in the future, for my cognition and my perception's sake, just putting out the number values, it's difficult for me because now I got to look back and forth between the sentence and what your values are. If you just copy and paste the sentence into your chat and then insert the numbers after each word, it makes it a lot easier for me to be able to see what you're doing there. But I'll try to muddle my way through it. So you have video as a 4, response as a 3, the as a 1, 4 as a 4, you as a 3. That is incorrect because you is non-tangible contract. And so you, as we know, YOU, if it's non-tangible, it can never be an adjective. It's either going to be an adverb, verb, or a pronoun. It'll never be an adjective. Only tangible contract words can be adjectives. And you put thank as an adverb. Thank is tangible contract. Intangible contract words will never be adverbs. Only non-tangible contract words can be adverbs. So the way that you fix that, quadruple A, is to look the word up in an etymology dictionary. Look up and look at all the meanings of it and try to go to the earliest nativity root meaning of the word. And if that is non-tangible, then you would syntax the word as non-tangible. Nice. I see folks going over to my Buy Me a Coffee website and donating over there. I appreciate your gifts, especially from colon Harry Charles Ruxlow. I appreciate your donation, brother. I really do. It really helps. I'm going to put a link to that just in case anybody else wants to. Or if you want to send a super chat, that's perfectly fine as well. Either which way, it helps keep this channel going. Brandon Sewell says, hello, verb, adjective, pronoun. Well, thank you very much for the effort, Brandon. However, I would say that I think you need to cognize what modifiers are and the syntax pattern, the 5 syntax scenarios, because there is no syntax pattern that goes 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. There's no syntax pattern that goes 2, 3, 4, 5. A 5 would not even figure into this scenario because you can see 5 is a positional. Positionals only exist in correct sentence structure, and this is not correct sentence structure. This is adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun. So that's off the table, period. But I do appreciate you trying. And if I know you've been on this channel for a while, so I'd highly recommend if you think it's now's the time to get serious about correct sentence structure, email me at jasonmatthewg17@gmail.com and get started on workshops, man. No better time than now. And I'll have that straightened out, what you did there, the mistakes you did there, in 2 workshops. Here, I'll post the answer. Here's the answer. Those are the correct syntax values. Hello is a pronoun, and then we have a break in the continuance of the evidence with the ellipse there, the 3 dots in a row. And then we have thank, which is tangible contract, which is a pronoun. You, which is non-tangible contract, adverb, modifying for, which is non-tangible contract, into a verb. And then the is non-tangible contract, adverb, which is modifying response, which is tangible contract, into an adjective, which is coloring video into a pronoun. Follows all the rules. Hello is a standalone pronoun because it's followed by a break in the continuance of the evidence and nothing comes before it. So that's kind of out of the picture now. Then you go, thank you for the response video. You have a 4-1-2, which is a syntax scenario. Then you have a 1-3-4, which is a syntax scenario. It ends on a 4, which every syntax scenario is either going to end on a 2 or a 4, never on a 1 or a 3. And syntax scenarios will always begin with either a 4, a 3, or a 1. It will never begin with a 2 unless it's in the domain of correct sentence structure, position, lodials, and facts, which this is not. This is fiction. This is a knowledge cultivation station. Correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, cosmosity. Gotta say salute there, Jason. I'm enjoying a coffee as well. Salute. Hey, you see this? Fort Morgan, Alabama. This is on the coast of the Gulf of America. It's a star fort, a bastion fort, one of the hundreds of forts that were built supposedly back in the 1600s. Amazing structures. Who built them? I don't know. Off the wire. Can you recommend any ultimate syntax guide books? To my knowledge, and where's my book at? Hold on a minute, folks. I got a book somewhere here. Aha. All right. See this book? I'm going to leave it up here for a minute. This book is not a syntax guide. The person who wrote this book does not have closure on correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar. All right. This is the extent of this individual's knowledge. Now, I'm not trying to tear anybody's effort down if it's a genuine effort to help other folks. If this was a genuine effort to help other folks, awesome. What I'm doing is auditing the grammar and auditing the correct sentence structure knowledge. And I'm going to show you an example of this individual's syntax knowledge. You see that? That is not syntax, folks. That's parse. And it's not even complete parse. They're just identifying, credentialing the past tense, future tense, and some of the particles of negation. And that's not even done correctly. So if you want to learn correct sentence structure, I would not recommend this book. There is no syntax manual out there. I will say that DAVID-WYNN, Miller's classic textbook is not for beginners. Let's put it that way. I was a beginner when I received it from David-WYNN Miller personally in December of 2017, I think it was. I still have the envelope and everything with his handwriting on it. It has a lot of great data in it, but there are mistakes over every single page. So folks will say, okay, Jason, well, how can you criticize that when you haven't posed a solution? Well, I do pose a solution to the issue. They say, where's your syntax book? My syntax book is here on this website in over 1,000 YouTube videos where I show how to syntax with correctness, and I explain it down to the most minuscule detail. Tangible contract words, non-tangible contract words, syntax patterns, modifiers, breaks in the continuance of the evidence, all the syntax rules regarding pronouns and adverbs and things like that. How to do it. What's the easiest way to do it? Through process of elimination. How you credential a tangible contract word or a non-tangible contract word. All those things are explained right here. So that's my solution. It's just up to you to study it. Again, as I've stated a few other times, I am writing a correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar textbook. However, mine is a bit different than David-WYNN Miller's. Mine is written in correct sentence structure, and it's also translated into plain, simple English. So it's a massive piece of work. And I just don't have the now space to work on it like I'd like to. So at this rate, it may be done in 5 years. I may not be here to see its completion. So hopefully someone else will take up that mantle if they so choose. Why the K in magic? What's the difference from a syntax perspective? Well, right off the bat, I would have to ask you why the E in syntax? Why did you add the E in syntax? As to why would someone add the K in magic, I think from my perception, now I don't know because I've never used that spelling of magic, but I know folks who have. I know folks who take the C out of magic and just use the K. I think it is supposed to refer to a specific type of magic. I think that's my best guess. I don't know because I don't, how do you want to say it? I don't dabble in magic, but that's my best comprehension, my best cognition of why folks would use a K. It's kind of like the way Russell J. Gould and his people will put an I at the end of family. They'll take the Y out and put an I there. They just do it for whatever reason. Just pull it out of their ass. Well, let's put a K at the end of magic, or let's put an I instead of a Y at the end of family. Let's put an R in February. Let's put letters in math and call it algebra. Who can say why people do goofy stuff? Another interesting thing in the book on page 81 is the bold text shows the word correction like this: correction. This should ring all the bells with anyone who has a slight basis in quantum grammar. Page 81, where the C, O in correction, see the bold face there, is in brackets. This is hilarious. What the hell is this, folks? You have a bracket, and then you have a full colon, and then you have syntax analysis guide to attached documents, and then you have hyphen, space, 4, and then another set of brackets, correction, and then a colon, and then another bracket. Does this individual, is this a book giving the secrets to the magical language of Narnia? I don't know. I don't know what that is, quadruple A. I really don't. That's some crazy ish right there. I'll tell you what's interesting, though, about the tarot is if you know, you're familiar with Colin David-WYNN Colin Miller, and he claimed to be a key master. There are 78 keys. The tarot deck are the keys, the 78 keys, half negative, half positive. This can be interrelated with the Kabbalah, with the Kabbalic tree. It's a whole pathway of symbolism that, if you're familiar with these types of things in esoteric studies, then you will know what I'm talking about. I've been studying tarot for many, many, many years. So one could say that I do have a very good cognition, or at least an adequate cognition, of the 78 keys. I don't really claim to be a key master. I just know what they are, and I know how they work, and I know they do open doorways and portals, so to speak, in a symbolic sense, in a psychological sense. So we'll leave it at that. Your thoughts about the economic structure? Well, the economic structure is all fiction, based upon greed and whatever else. And so my thought is for myself to not participate with it as much as possible and create portfolios of tangible assets alongside the non-tangible assets. That's what I'll say about that. Does the stars and stripes on the CSS flag have any specific meaning other than as a whole to be the correct sentence structure? Yes, they do. And if you read the correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, flag, constitution, which you can find on David Wynn Miller's website, you will get closure on what that means. Sorry. John, what are you sorry about, man? This is like the second time you've sort of apologized here. I got it, like magic was like rabbit and hat, sleight of hand, and magic was the more supernatural kind. That was my comprehension, but I thought maybe something more to it. Thanks. Well, that's exactly, I mean, that fits exactly what I said. You have what the standard meaning of magic would be, and then you have a specialized magic. Because from my perception and my position, if you have something that you would perceive magic with a K at the end, all right, which you say supernatural, which basically means not natural. But that's a misnomer because everything is natural, right? Mankind is natural. So anything mankind creates is also natural by that meaning. Just like animals, anything animals create is natural, right? Anything that appears on the earth is natural. Even if it's not on the earth and it appears here, it's still natural. It's of nature, right? Everything is of nature by degrees. See, we can't help but use this Masonic language. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So something you construe as magic, like maybe somebody magically levitating a car, like, ooh, like using the Force in Star Wars. It's, from my perception, it's not like magic as in, ooh, I don't understand it. Well, yeah, you don't understand it, but that's the point. If you don't understand something, it means you just don't have that knowledge yet. You don't have that cognition. It requires more study. And what most people will do, I find, and it comes from more of a unwillingness to put forth the effort to study, is they will put things that they can't explain down to like God or something, or the devil or whatever. They'll say, oh, you can't explain that. It must be God's plan. And it's an excuse to stop thinking about something. It's excuse to stop studying and researching and meditating on it, thinking about it. It's an excuse to stop thinking. Oh, well, God meant it to happen. Or God works in mysterious ways. It's a convenient reason to stop thinking about something. That's the way I look at it. So magic is just, I think, refers to something that we perhaps do not possess cognition of yet. But with further study and intense research, you may gain comprehension of it. Tarot and alphabet have to be connected, I think. Sounds like an interesting study. Could you repeat the title of the Blue Tarot book? Hey, guess what I found? So I got this book by Crowley. And guess what's inside of it? I found it. Hidden inside. The study of this book is forbidden. It is wise to destroy this copy after first reading. Whosoever disregards this does so at his own risk and peril. These are most dire. Those who discuss the contents of this book are to be shunned by all as centers of pestilence. All questions of the law are to be decided only by appeal to my writings, each for himself. There is no law beyond do what thou wilt. Love is the law, love under will. Very small book. Only supposed to read it once and destroy. Use once and destroy. Keep that in mind, folks. Well, Quadruple A, if you want to read that book, I highly recommend buying the Thoth Tarot deck, which is actually a pretty decent sized tarot deck. It's bigger, like the cards are about as big as my hand. They're pretty big cards. Get that deck and then buy the book. And it gives a great description of each card and things like that. The power of something is what you ascribe to it. Something cannot have power over you unless you allow it. That's why, due to my upbringing and my studies, there is nothing that goes bump in the night that strikes any kind of fear into my heart, because there's nothing there in the dark that isn't there in the light. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm drawing this to a close. I'll see you next month in the public live stream in March. Peace, and thank you very much, everyone who participated.